The whole legacy is not something that you build, put a name on. It's something you lived. And what you want, whatever you want to live in a legacy, you want it to be left in people's hearts and in their minds, not with stone.
Do you believe challenges in your life, the takeaway, created the you that you are now?
Absolutely.
How did that happen?
Well, I think when you go through tough times, you either do one of two things. You yield or you trust God. And I think I look back and see my first church. I'd been there 2 weeks, and the deacons had a private meeting, and they thought that I was preaching a little too strong after I'd been there 2 weeks. And so one of them came and told me about this secret meeting they had. So I went to the guy who called the meeting and confronted him, and I said, now, look, if you'll show me something scripturally I've said wrong, I'll listen. But if you can't, you need to be quiet.
Did you say be quiet or did you say shut up?
No, I said be quiet. Okay. He was much older than I was.
Okay, all right, good.
So when we had our first,
I'm learning.
Yeah,
not quick enough.
When we had our first revival, I remember that he personally mowed the grass the week before his small church. Oh. He put $20 in the offering plate every time it came by because one of his friends, it was one of my friends. Yeah. And so I was blessed in those early years, and I've probably had a little trouble, and troubles come up in every place I've been because people don't. They want you to say something makes them feel good on Sunday. Well, you can't preach the Word of God and make everybody feel good. So, you know, I've had my trials, but usually they come around. Either they leave or I leave, but I've never left. So. You know, that's the way it is.
Okay. So even, I'm a little bit younger than you are, but even today.
I think you're a whole lot younger than I am.
I see things on television, you know, and I've got 20-some-year-old sons, you know, and I've looked at them 100 times and go, I can't believe I just heard that on television. You know, if I was your age and I had heard that, I would have just probably fainted in my living room, you know, so we're facing stuff that I don't believe, Dr. Stanley, I never dreamed in my lifetime. The blatant stuff that we have to deal with, and it's real life for many, many people. And there's truth, and then there's love, and balancing the truth and love. Do you have anything to say to that? Because you hear that, truth.
Without love is mean. Love without truth is meaningless. Thank you, Chris Hodges.
Thank you, Chris. By the way. But that there's a balance there. How do you
put those two things on a scale?
Well, I think it's the spirit in which you do it.
Yeah.
In other words, you've got to be honest and truthful. And you can say that in a way that's acceptable, or sometimes it's rejected. But I think we have to live according to our God-given convictions, whether they're accepted or not.
Got it.
And what I've discovered is, if you do, sooner or later, these people leave your life or they join you.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about leadership in a sense, that you continue to, we're going back to the theme, obey God, leave all the consequences to Him, which means some people may leave you, or they're going to join you, but you're just going to obey God. Is that?
Because if you get wishy-washy, you lose respect, you lose your leadership. In other words, if you're convinced that something is correct, and it's biblically true, and it's wise and right, and in this day and time, what is wise and what is right is always in people's minds. Once you decide that, and people realize that's where you are and that's what you stand for, they either join you or they leave. And that's what they did to Jesus. So I think that's where we are. And there's a big separation going on one hand, and yet lots and lots of people are getting saved, and churches are growing, and they're springing up everywhere. And so I'm encouraged in spite of what I see going on.
So legacy is a word that should come up with someone of your age. Talk to us about legacy, meaning what do you think it is, and what do you have to say to our generation and beyond?
Well, I think your legacy is the life that you've lived.
Okay.
It can't be one part of it, but the life that you've lived. And secondly, what do you leave behind that's worth somebody picking up and carrying on? What did you believe that you want other people to believe? And what have you accomplished? How did you accomplish it? Was it by trusting God and being obedient to Him? Were you consistent in your life? I think the whole legacy is not something that you build, put a name on. It's something you lived. And what you want, whatever you want to live in a legacy, you want it to be left in people's hearts and in their minds, not with stone.
Well, you know, you've just done that with your grandfather. I mean, what you've just said about, you know, if you run into a wall, God will make a hole for you. I mean, that'll never leave me. My kids are sitting right here. I pray that, you know, you obey God and leave the consequences to Him. You know, I want my children to grasp onto that and take it on into their children and their children's children. But I think that's, you know, and I think finishing well is so important. And I think, well, I know that you don't believe in retiring.
Well, the Bible doesn't teach it except for the priest after 25 years, so the Bible doesn't teach it.
Yeah.
I think you live longer. And this little saying I picked up from somewhere, and it's real precious to me. You will be happy and successful as long as you're still planning for tomorrow. Well, if you obey God, it's not always going to be easy. In fact, sometimes you think you just can't do it. But that's when you have to have the courage to believe that God is who He says He is, and that He'll do what He says He'll do. And I've lived long enough, and I've been a Christian long enough, and a pastor long enough to know this. You can leave all the consequences that you face before God. And He will always be there to walk you through it. And I've been through situations and circumstances, if somebody had told me I was going to face them, I'd say no. But by leaving all the consequences to Him, what you're saying is this. You're saying, God, I trust You. I believe that you're big enough. I believe that you're loving enough. I believe that you have the power to take care of whatever happens as a result of my obedience to what you've told me to do. Now, you have to be sure that it's not just your opinion or what you want to do, but has God told you? Has God spoken to you? And so the next question is, well, how will I know? Listen carefully. Anybody who is a believer, a follower of Jesus, who wants to know the truth, God will show you the truth and show you what to do. Now, if that becomes a habit in your life, it's only because the first time He challenges you to listen to Him and obey Him, you do it. If you fudge a little bit and say, well, no, whatever He tells you to do exactly what He tells you. And then think about this. You've obeyed God who controls everything. He's in control of everything. You have obeyed Him, and now you're trusting Him to be the God that He says He is in the Word of God, which you and I read and believe. If you will begin purposely obeying God in a difficult time in your life, here's what you're going to discover. You're going to discover this is the way to live. You may get disappointed, but it won't be because He didn't keep His word. God will keep His word if you will obey Him. I don't think I'd change any major decision of my life since I learned that truth. I can't think that I would. I can't name one that I would change, because God is faithful and God is true to His word. Trust Him. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. You can't ever go wrong trusting God, and that's my prayer for you.
At TBN, our mission is to use every available means to reach as many individuals and families as possible with the life-changing gospel of Jesus Christ.
Thank you for helping make the gospel of grace go around the world.
Without you, we couldn't do it. God bless you.